Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
Rise Up Morning Show.
Yes, it is a good now. It is Thursday. It's July 10th, and we have officially got a new Bitcoin all-time high. That's right, yesterday. What we're celebrating today. $112,040 for Bitcoin, $40 above its last all-time high, and goodness knows we don't get to play that bumper enough, so shout out Keith for the chef's kiss composition. And if you're just hearing that bumper or any of our bumpers for the very first time, or you're still new here, then welcome. Extra special welcome to our friends in podcast land. This is your place for helpful crypto news, commentary, and answers to your questions. Alex and Will are going to do a switcheroo today with about halfway through the show. So I want to get right into it, Alex. You had sent a message to me this morning about talking about profits now that things are high. Always a good thing to talk about, but I'm glad to know just, how you are, how your Thursday's going. Can't believe the week's almost over.
So far, so good. Haven't really done anything yet. But I mean, I have nothing to complain about yet. Okay. No, that's not true. I could find something.
There you go.
Rude. But yeah, no, I was just thinking, the only thing that I was really thinking today was I definitely wanted to hit just a little bit of profit stuff. We talked about profits a little bit last night after we were applauding Violet, the chief skincare officer.
Right.
We're actually taking profits on XRP, which is just awesome.
It's seriously cool.
And in the event that altcoins do anything, you need to be prepared now beforehand, not panicking in the middle of it. So I figure we'll hit that today.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a good call. If you missed the episode yesterday with our chief skincare officer, Violet, then the short alpha is go to YouTube, go to your favorite podcast platform, listen to the episode. It's great. We get to learn more about the wonderful woman behind the man you know and love, Will. She's great. She's a cybersecurity pro. She's apparently the best trader in their apartment, which is saying something, and a delightful person. We can't wait to have Kimberly and Christina on, but it was really, really good to get Violet, and you'll love her. So check that out. And in addition to that, Bitcoin all-time high, I did have one or two other news bits, but I really don't think any of them are as important as this profit-taking thing. So my question to you is, do you need a screen share? Do you want to do some hypothetical scenarios? Or maybe if you're listening to us live, if you've got a particular question about profit-taking, or maybe a good scenario for us, I bought this token, it's this price, how do I make it profitable, getting out of an underwater position? All those are probably good places to take it. Yeah, Alex? What are you seeing?
I think so. I could do a screen share. It's not the world's greatest graphic. I need to redo this, but in my defense, ChatGPT made it a while ago. I think capabilities have gotten better since then, but I have this little ladder graph. Give me stall.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to stall while he does that and remind you that the Rise Up Morning Show is, in fact, powered by Polygon. Shout out to our friends at Polygon. And they do actually have a news update today that today, the Polygon Proof of Stake blockchain is set to activate the Heimdall hard fork on mainnet, reducing their finality time, bringing smoother UX, and they have called it their biggest hard fork. So it sounds like a highly technical upgrade. Thoughts and prayers are with our friends at Polygon. Don't break the network because we like using it. And we are going to hopefully have some more friends from the Polygon ecosystem who are building some cool stuff. They have really hooked us up throughout this partnership by putting us in touch with people who are building great stuff on chain in the Polygon ecosystem. We've got, of course, friend of the show, Evan McMullen, coming back, but we've also got conversations happening with Courtyard and Lumia. Courtyard, Neil introduced as a team that needs no introduction, but I have to be completely frank with you. I had absolutely no idea what they do. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know them in their product. That's the best thing about crypto. There's so much going on here that you're learning all the time and forgetting all the time too.
It's true.
So Alex, how'd I do? Did I stall enough for you? What you got?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, good deal. Good deal.
Let me just move this into the right.
Let me tell you one more thing too.
Window.
This is one of my news bits that if you missed it, yesterday there was a hearing by the Senate Banking Committee called From Web3 to Wall Street. The most notorious person who spoke there was Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple, but several representatives from the crypto industry who all have a lot of experience. And some of them who have experience in traditional finance or governance before that gave really helpful, thoughtful takes to Congress, U.S. Congress, about the future of crypto policy. Elizabeth Warren opened with some powerful concerns she had, and a lot of these folks spoke real truth to power. I would encourage you to do a YouTube, do a TikTok, check out some of the highlights, because next week, Crypto Week, is going to be a big week for legislation. And if you're curious about staying up to date, that's probably the highest signal source you're going to find. Okay, how about now?
Nailed it.
Oh,
Timing.
yeah.
All right.
Here comes the screen share.
So this was created by me and my GPT research assistant to sort of help visualize a rescue strategy for maneuvering underwater crypto positions to be a little bit less underwater, or even potentially above water. So the goal here is that every time we get into one of these swings where you see a percentage gain of, X percent, and people start talking about taking profits, it's me, I'm people, then you might be looking at a position that is still on paper at a loss. And so you do nothing, because how could you take profits on something when you are underneath your initial purchase price? So one example would be, let's just make up some numbers. And
Take them around for me. Round and easy.
I do have to give a quick solidarity notice to Robert, who said ICP. You might never rescue that one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Some things are extremely far gone. Some things less than others, though. So I gotta sell this thing. So basically, if we were to make up some numbers, let's say that we bought Ethereum at 3,000. And we're up right now, but still under 3,000, and kind of wondering okay, what could I do with this? For anybody who wants this graphic, I'll repost it in Discord. I shared it in the lounge a little while ago, and I think I have a PDF of it somewhere. But I'll post it in Discord after this if you want to see it. So let's say you buy ETH at 3,000, it crashes. It's been floating around in the twos for a long time. Now, in that time, since you purchased it, it has gone up and down, 20% some weeks, down 10%, 15%, up another 10%, kind of down. It's ranging. It's swinging around all the way from 2,200. What's it at now? Almost 28. So
probably
pretty decent swings. And it may seem counterintuitive to say, okay, well, I need to be taking profits right now, but here's the picture that I want everyone to kind of have in their head. Buy it at 3, it goes to 2. You could sell it at a loss, chalk the whole thing up to a miss, walk away, and never think about it again. Let's say then, instead, you hold it. So you're holding that position, it's at a loss, it's at 2,000, it goes to 2,400. And everyone's like, oh, take profits. And you're like, well, I can't, I'm underwater. You can. So let's say you sell half of it. You bought 1 ETH at 3,000, and you're about to sell half of it at 2,400. Evan, if you want to write this down or help me out, I can jot down my math just so I don't say any incorrect numbers. But
I'm following you with a pen and pencil. What I really would like is whatever upgrade Doug has, maybe we just start using TradingView for every screen share so we can draw on the screen, and I can just make silly little. Okay, 1 ETH at 3K.
Yep.
Sold half of it now that it's 2,400. I wrote it up and down.
Sweet. Okay. So we have 2 things now. Let's just say for ease, we sold it into USDC. That's usually what I do if I'm taking a profit. By usually, I mean always. I have now 1,200 USDC, and I have $1,200 worth of ETH, and it's half of one. Let's say from that 2,400 now, it falls again. That little pump was over. It goes back down. Now we're back at 2,000. At this point, you have half of an ETH, now only worth $1,000. but you also have $1,200 of USDC, which was a profit that you locked in at that point. Two things happened when you sold. One, you freed up some capital now sitting on the side, so you actually have something to deploy something with in the event that you get a better dip or a lower crash or a better opportunity presents itself, maybe something not even ETH, something totally different. You also lock in a capital loss, which you can record for your taxes.
A $600 capital loss, not too shabby.
Yeah, not bad. You can use that to offset profit. So capital gains, there's a couple things that you need to know about it. All of this, by the way, is available on the IRS website. And there's a couple things to know. First of all, wash trading is a thing in crypto. You're allowed to do it. Basically, that just means if you sell an asset, you can immediately rebuy it again. In the stock world, you can't do that. You have to wait 30 days.
I'm so sorry. I meant to say it's not a joke what he said. It's true.
It is true. Capital gains, however, is taxed at a relatively high tax rate depending on your income bracket, or a relatively low rate depending on your income bracket.
Correct.
You can find that also on the irs.gov website. The fun fact is that even with short-term capital gains tax, most people, myself included, barely owe any taxes because of our income bracket. Spoiler alert, I don't make very much money. My income bracket is not the highest thing in the world. My tax rate is actually pretty low. And I think most people might be surprised to find that you probably only owe like between 0 and 15% on short-term capital gains. So get that out of your head.
You really got to get up there before you start paying a big percent.
Yeah. You know, it's not insane, but like you need to be making into the six figures before you have to start worrying about paying a higher percentage. The other thing, I see that used as a fear point a lot. Katie says for now. Correct. For now. We'll see. It changes every year. You have to review the IRS guidelines every single year.
Don't forget, there's not just the IRS. Robert Steckler points out the more you make, the more your kids want.
That's why you have to lie to them. So I only say this really to say, like, don't let the fear of having to pay a tax on something keep you in a position you don't want to be in with an investment, because personally, I would rather pay a tax on a win than write off a giant loss and claim it as a benefit against something else, even if I had nothing to claim it against. However, there is a tactic in capital gains calculations called netting, wherein if you are making money, but you can also offset it with a loss somewhere else, you can kind of even it out. So if Evan makes $1,000 on one trade and then loses $1,000 on another trade, he does not owe any taxes. That loss cancels out the win. He's considered even. He's considered even because he is even. But that's kind of one of those reasons that you see a lot of selling at the end of December, right? People are locking in losses at the end of the tax year and then immediately rebuying because wash trading is legal with crypto. Okay, so back to our example. We bought at 3, we sold, or we went down to 2. I just saw it raining gold.
It was wild.
Fell down to 2, goes up to 2,400. We sold half of it. It fell back down to 2. We now have extra capital. We have whatever. We can make a decision now. Okay, do we want to take half of our stablecoin position that we just sold into and buy some ETH again, or do we want to hold it and see if it drops farther? Let's say that we hold it. It drops a little further. It goes down to 1,900. Okay. Now I want to do something. Everyone's talking about buy the dip, and you're like, well, you know, I guess I have some capital to do it. I guess I still have long-term conviction in Ethereum. I'm going to do it. Put half back in.
Okay, so we just spent $600.
Spent $600. So now we still have $600 of cash. And we bought, I don't know how much ETH.
We bought an additional 0.315 ETH. So now we have 0.815. We have almost a whole ETH again, and we've got $300 in the tank.
Yep. So we don't need to take this with further and further and further and further and do a hard example for every single point. But the idea that I want you to walk away from this example is ETH could then go back up to 2,300 and you could sell half your position again. And now you'll have more cash and less ETH. And then it could fall back again to 1,900 or 2,000 or 1,800 or 2,100, and you could take half of your cash position and buy back into ETH and keep kind of doing this. And eventually it works itself back into profit because you're capitalizing on this volatility. Now,
So you're telling me there's a chance.
there's a chance. However, the disclaimers here about risk would be you are not guaranteed to always recover from every dip. And depending on the currency you're doing this with, you know, like I wouldn't be doing this strategy with some crappy meme coin that, like, you know, I just lost my shirt on because it absolutely dumpstered. You know, like this kind of strategy would be something I would use with an asset that I have long-term conviction in, not necessarily something I'm like desperately trying to rescue because I can't wait to get away from it. If something like that happened, I'd probably just get rid of the asset, to be very honest, and confirm a capital loss and try to offset it later. You know, so not everything works out. Again, this is venture style investing 9 times out of 10 with crypto, meaning sometimes a loss is a loss and you need to know when to walk away because not every risk is worth holding forever. But with something like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, I would consider a tactic like this. If my average was higher than it is currently sitting, just because that volatility can be your friend with stuff like this, with you know, this constant ranging, even if you're ranging at a level underneath what you originally bought it from. Like Robert Steckler says, Sol is awesome for this. I do this with Solana all the time.
Yeah, totally.
My rule of thumb, which I believe I wrote in here. Yeah. So scaling out at a percentage of 50, meaning if we get a pump, an increase in the price above a certain threshold, for me, it's a double digit. I'm considering taking significant profit on any asset when I see more than 10% of a pump in a short period of time. If it's like gradual 10%, like, you know, 0.5% here, 1% to next day, and one whatever, and like over the course of 3 weeks, maybe I'm not going to look at it so heavily. But like if in a day or 2 or 3 days we hit like 10, 15, 20%, I'm like, dude, that's a great return for such a short amount of time. I'm going to pay myself a little bit for that and lock something in. Then I always have USDC. I always have something on the side if I see an opportunity that I would like to take part in. So I scale out at 50%. If Sol pumps, sell half the position. You can always sell half, and you'll always have another half. Doesn't matter what the amount is. It's 100 Sol or 5 Sol. You can sell half. Price crashes again. I now take that little USDC capital pile that I have on the side. I'll take a quarter of it and put it back in the asset and just kind of work myself that way. That way I always have exposure to the thing I believe in long term. I always have capital, USDC on the side. If we get to a point where nothing really piques my interest, I don't feel like buying or spending anything, I can always park that USDC somewhere and at least earn interest in the meantime. I can always yield farm with it. Whether that's a Morpho Vault, Spark, Aave, Katana, something like that. And that is the way that I just think about this stuff all the time. And because of that, and because I've been doing this for a long time, you know, on whatever I hold, my averages are super low compared to where we are. Every single one of my positions, which granted is not that many, is in profit just because this is all I do. I don't wait for the 100x or the 30x or whatever before I'm willing to take any kind of a profit. I'll pay myself at 20% and I'll feel good about it. You know, I don't make millions, but the whole portfolio is green. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know what else to say. There's nothing else to say, man.
I am a big fan.
I do want to say, though, for the people who are looking at this visual or didn't get to see the visual in podcast land, again, it'll be in Discord. We'll have it for you. But the steps are, it's a 7-step ladder. Well, I can't tell you what the steps are because Alex just killed me. No, it's okay. I was going to summarize this. It's perfect. Everything you said is good. We don't need to belabor the point. I have another screen share prepared. Since you referenced both of them, I want people to see in the last year for ETH, just how many opportunities that you had to do this. Yep. And then let's give them another practical, tactical tool that they can use to make advantage of it with. And spoiler alert, that tool is going to be coingecko.com. I don't know if I have a banner for them, but show is not sponsored by them yet, but it should be. This is ETH. And it had a big high. A lot of people who are underwater on ETH have been holding it since the top of the previous cycle when it was almost $5,000. But if these people missed the chance to sell for profit and they were kind of riding on the way down, but they still had conviction, maybe they could buy it at a discount for this whole period here. This is almost 2 years when it was like below $2,000.
Even in that 2-year window, I mean, look at that. You've got that kind of post-July peak, and then a pretty big fall, like and then a spike
1,000,
up.
2,000, 1,000, 2,000.
So like in all of that, all of those are opportunities. If you're willing to make moves on something at 10, 20, 30% compared to waiting for 100, 200, 300%, you can take crazy advantage of that volatility that entire time. A sideways market in crypto is never actually flat. Yeah, it's just tighter ranges.
If you set an alert, this is just the last year, for every time ETH changed a double-digit percentage point, you would have alerts going off here, here, here. You'd have them going off here. I mean, you'd have not one every day, but you would have probably 1 to 5 alerts a month on this that would be telling you to buy or sell. And if you were doing Sol, let's take a look.
Yeah.
Currently at 150.
Spoiler alert, Sol's almost better.
Almost better.
Heavier or bigger swings for sure.
And especially, if you, let's just say, where's our peak here? Here's the all-time high.
January.
So let's say you bought it here. I mean, look at this dip. Yep. That was a great dip, a chance to buy, but let's say you missed it. You rode it all the way down. I mean, in that time, in the last year, you've had, boom, big time peaks and valleys. Lots of great volatility. And a lot of charts look like this. So, like Alex said,
I mean, look at it literally right now. Can you shorten the time frame down to a week? Yep. Here we go. Beautiful. So
this is down here is $144 and up here is $158. So
yep. So I didn't do too much here. But if you sweep out to a month, then you'll see a bigger. So right there, I was buying at that 130 right there because I just had these kind of numbers in my head. For Sol, I just have $10 increments in my head. Usually if it's up or down $10, I'll do something small.
Yeah, I mean, that's great.
This is kind of one of those things you sort of like get a feel for it as it goes, so Bitcoin made a new all-time high yesterday and Solana didn't really do anything. So it's kind of lagging. So in my head, and I say all this without doing I don't chart anything. I don't know how to do technical analysis. I've never sat down to like figure it out. I just sort of, it sounds stupid, but I just go off the feel, go off the vibe. Like I've built conviction in the asset Solana over years of watching the network do network things. I used to hate it years and years ago. Checked my bias and really came around, and now here we are. And the last question I'll take is so Bearded asked if the double digit is a hard rule, or if I do less if it's really active. So no, it's not a hard rule. The only hard rule that I have is that I will do half out and a quarter in, just because I've found that over time that works really well. Because after every single pump, I get at least some kind of small pullback. So I'll always secure a bigger chunk. That way I definitely have enough to go back in at a couple different levels. That's kind of my goal, because you never know where it's going to stop going up. You never know where it's going to stop coming down. Because of that, I don't usually go super hard in any one point unless we see a crazy, like, oh my God, it did 80% this week. Yeah, I might sell more than half, because that's a lot. And at this current juncture in the current world economy state, I feel like that's unsustainable, because something crazy is going to happen in 6 days and a new war is going to start and it's going to crash again.
In the interest of protecting your time, I want you to tell me one last thing, which is, how do I set alerts on CoinGecko, the site we were just on, for price changes? Do you happen to know? Because I sure don't. Not off the top of my head. I can do it on the mobile, but I don't know that I can walk somebody through without looking at my phone. The TLDR is, CoinGecko is a super easy to use website. CoinMarketCap is also super easy to use, and you can ask GPT for whichever data aggregator you prefer to give you the step-by-steps. Ask Google, even look in their docs. Lots of websites, I think even Coinbase does alerts now, will give you alerts that you can tailor to let you know if the price is this or this. Now, they're not perfect if you want to be like an intraday trader and get the news before everyone else in the market gets it. Like, you probably got to spend some money, spend some time building or curating that yourself. But if you're just Alex and you want to know this thing like a super fan of a soap opera, catch the episodes, learn the characters, feel the drama, and not miss the price movement, then they're going to be fine for you. You can get them sent to your email. You can get them sent to your, text messages, your phone, whatever.
Really good time for me to come on, because if you want to go to the opera, but if you want to be the opera singer, let me show you a few things. I'd love to pull up a few charts for altcoins.
Do it. Great analogy. I'm gonna bow and let you do that, because I have to go get the rescue taken care of and then get my house ready to get photographed for the listing.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to have missed you, but very exciting.
It's okay.
Beautiful.
It's okay.
Beautiful. It's a perfect transition, ladies and gentlemen.
It's true. I've warmed up the idea of profit taking for you, Will, to now get into more of the specifics.
Yep. And we are taking profits on Alex. We'll see you later, and buying the dip on Will Watson. So see you, Alex.
See you guys.
Will, the floor is yours. How you been, man? Good to see you.
I'm good, but now I'm sad. I'm sad about Alex. I'm sorry for being late. I let Evan and Alex know at 6:20 a.m. I was like, oh, I goofed my morning schedule. What had happened is yesterday, I walked up to Violet, my girlfriend, and I said, I did something. She was like, what? And I signed up for a 6:15 a.m. Pilates class, and Violet's like, oh God, no, don't do that. She's like, instead, go to my workout class. It's at 7. And I was like, oh, that's so much early. That's so much later. I have so much more time to sleep in. And I was just excited about that. And then I booked that class. And then I woke up this morning and immediately was like, my eyes open, and I was like, time to make content. Oh no, the workout class ends at 8. So rushed here, took a shower, put on my blazer, and here we are. But anyway, that's why I'm late. So my apologies.
Better you're late than your girl is late.
Yes, exactly. That's true.
It was a layered.
That's layered.
That
is very layered. Yeah, true on all accounts. But what I wanted to show is, I wanted to talk about altcoins right now, because on the way to the gym, I made a super quick video just letting people know, like, hey, like altcoins are still like popping off, and this could be a really good altcoin rally. Like all the signs are there. So let me talk quickly on the show what those signs are, and then let me show a few altcoins that are starting to like kind of break out of key resistance levels, and we could be at a time of really good fun times. How long the happy fun times last? Maybe it's just a week, maybe it's just a few days, maybe it's multiple weeks. We don't know. But let me show you guys what I'm seeing and try to teach you along the way. It's the perfect time to buy. Let me do this. Let me share the screen.
And let me remind you, if you're listening in podcast land, you're the real champion, because this is a screen share intensive episode, and we've got it for you on YouTube. Just search the Rise Up Morning Show. It'll be the very first one in the playlist at the top. And you can see our happy faces. Hi. So what are we looking at?
So right now what we're looking at, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit, is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And if you guys have been watching my videos, you'll know what we're talking about. And I'm going to show you a little bit more stuff that I haven't talked about on anything on my channel yet. And the Bitcoin dominance chart, if you're totally unfamiliar with this, if you look here to the right, you don't see price, you see percentage points, right? That is a measurement of the total bucket of money that is in crypto, the total market cap of all of cryptocurrency that is owned by Bitcoin. So when you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, if this chart is going up, it means that Bitcoin's beating altcoins. If this chart is going down, it means that altcoins are beating Bitcoin. So if you hold altcoins, or you're looking to get into altcoins, you want to see weakness on this chart. And what we've been highlighting is we have been highlighting that for the past 4 days in a row now, we are getting short signals on this chart. Evan, I know there's a glare on TikTok. If you can zoom in, you'll see these red arrows.
Yeah, it's tough because when I get
tough with the glare, but there you can see it. So we have these short signals. These short signals are from the Moxie indicator, which is this indicator at the bottom. So it's this, Evan, if you just pan the camera down. Yes, there we go. That's the Moxie indicator. Now, what the Moxie indicator shows is it shows bullish momentum. If it's above that white line, it is bullish. If it is below that white line, it is bearish. So we have bearish momentum being stronger for Bitcoin dominance, which is a good thing for altcoins. The last time that we got this short signal, while we were also breaking the 55-day exponential moving average, this blue line here, was all the way over here. And as you can see, this was the biggest altcoin rally we had in all of 2024.
This is right around the election.
Yes. It was also when Bitcoin was setting. Yeah, this was an 11.5% swing to altcoins from Bitcoin. It was huge. That's a really, really, really big move, massive move. And at the same time, let's see, I believe this was November of 2024. If we come back to Bitcoin, sorry for the white screen. November of 2024, we were just starting to set all-time highs. Like we were setting all-time highs for Bitcoin, and it was really great. And what we're doing right now for Bitcoin is we're also setting all-time highs. So I mentioned this because coming back to the Bitcoin dominance chart, this broke the 55-day exponential moving average right here, right there. And then you saw the biggest swing towards altcoins. And if we come back to today, we have the exact same setup happening. We are getting short signals. We have broken the 55-day exponential moving average. Bitcoin is making all-time highs. This could be a scenario where you have a pretty damn big swing for altcoins. And when a key exponential moving average breaks, like the 55 here, usually, not always, but usually you have enough momentum to come down to the next series of key exponential moving averages. This would result in an additional 2% swing for altcoins away from Bitcoin. The only problem, air quotes, problem here is there are a lot of lines of potential support for Bitcoin dominance to be caught on before we get to the 200. As you can see, we're bouncing off of one of them right here. And all of these lines of support come from the fact that Bitcoin was in this channel for such a long period of time. There are a lot of highs, there are a lot of lows. So there's a lot of things that could end our party earlier, but the potential for a very large swing for altcoins is here, okay? That's what I want to leave you with. That's how you read this chart with this indicator. It's the exact same setup as we got in 2024 before the biggest swing in altcoins of the year. Now, funny, Cosmic, I see you in the chat. You're going to like this because I'm going to start with Algorand. Now, let me show you a few altcoins. There are a few altcoins that are already breaking key resistance levels. Because I saw some people in my comment section about me being like, hey, altcoins are popping right now. People are like, oh, if you hear about altcoins popping from creators, it's the worst time to buy. It's not the perfect time to buy. But the thing is if you look at some altcoins, and here's Algorand, a lot of altcoins have just only begun their breakout. So let me just clean up this chart a little bit just to make it as simple as possible, okay? Here. Now, when you're trying to find lines of resistance and support, you want to find obvious points of price rejection measured by the wicks of these candles, okay? So we have a wick here and a wick here. This is a clear line of resistance. And also today, Algorand is respecting that line, right? We haven't gotten above it. We can also come down here. We have a really big wick here and a really big wick here. So we have another line of resistance. That gives us a triangle, a wedge. Wedges are really nice patterns to trade, particularly if you're a beginner. And it's personally my favorite because it's easy to measure breakout zones and breakout targets. So as Algorand is coming up, Algorand is testing this resistance. And if you can see Algorand, maybe we get rejected here and we find some support, but whatever happens, as long as you get above this line of resistance and then it comes up and hold it. Honestly, today, it could even just come up and hold it right here. If you get that confirmed candle close above this point, you're about to have a really big move to the upside. And you can measure that move. You measure that move by measuring the thickest point of the triangle when it first came into existence. So we have our first line here. That line was created. We have our second line here. This is where the shape officially started. So measure that distance. And let's just say the breakout target is right here. That would be a breakout target for Algorand of 30 cents, which actually I did that upside down. So if we got up to 30 cents from where we are today. Oh, I did it upside down again. Oh my gosh.
No.
No, I'm a fool. That's a 53% move for Algorand, okay? Now, it could get stopped beforehand. If we look back, this is just taking it a one more slight level higher. You actually have resistance here. That's actually at 30 cents as well. So that would be a really strong area to be selling beforehand. But you have some resistance here at 28 cents, 29 cents. You have some resistance here at 26 cents too. So it could get cut short, but that's how you play that move. Maybe you just kind of sell along the way here, but there's a potential for 53%. And Algorand is just about to hopefully confirm that move. Okay, that's Algorand, and then I'll show you Chainlink as well for just one more example.
While you're pulling it up, I do have to shout out our friend Cosmic, who is regularly here dropping wisdom in the comments. And while you were bringing up what I would imagine is one of his favorite charts,
I think it is his favorite chart.
He threw you a little galaxy and me too. If you don't tune
thanks,
TikTok
dude.
Live, one of the most fun experiences is when folks drop us these great gifts and we get a little light up on the screen. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
for Algo.
Oh, it's not clear when you're saying here and here. Thanks, Fact Over Fear. I'll be more specific.
It's my fault because I'm, maybe give us a number.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a number. My apologies. Good feedback. So now I'm pulling up Chainlink. Chainlink is a few steps ahead of Algorand right now because Chainlink is already breaking out of the same triangle, the same wedge pattern. So we have a wick here at $10.06. Thank you. We also have another wick here at $10.89. So that bottom line is a line of support. This top line of resistance is being created off of wicks at $18, $17.10, and $15.57. So draw those, you'll have this wedge. Chainlink started breaking out of this 3 days ago. You see a nice, strong, confident move here. Now, Chainlink could even come back down and, fall down. That would still be bullish. As long as this top line of support holds, you have the potential to see a breakout. Again, let's measure our thickest point, put it on top of the breakout zone. You're looking at, again, a 55% move that is possible up for Chainlink up to $21.37, and then sell along the way. And again, if we look backwards just to try to find some basic areas of resistance, we have this previous high here at $17.96. Let me change the color so it's more clear. We also have resistance at this chunk of wicks here at $19.80, right? That could potentially snuff out our move. And then you have more resistance here that's actually above our target at $22. So as this explosion upwards happens, assuming, of course, Bitcoin stays green and Bitcoin dominance, as we highlighted earlier, is really, really showing weakness and continues to show that weakness, isn't caught at those higher up support levels, you could see these 50% plus moves right now from where we are today for a coin like Chainlink that has just begun that breakout, for a coin potentially like Algorand if it confirms that move. And then we have other coins like Virtual's protocol here that is in a wedge of sorts as well. Actually, I need to clean this up a tiny bit. It's in a wedge also, not quite as clean, but it is also trying to potentially work its way upwards to get above resistance and start a breakout there. So those are the things I wanted to put on your guys' radar screens, because there are a lot of coins right now that are having very similar setups. They have a slightly higher low that's building into a wedge pattern with coins that are challenging or just about to break or setting up to potentially break the top line of resistance and then have a pretty nice measured gain or move upwards. The last bit of advice I will give is we looked at 3 coins that are all in 3 different stages of that same setup, with Chainlink leading, Algorand in the middle phase, Virtual's protocol in an early phase. Because Virtual's protocol is in an early phase, there's way more risk that it doesn't get to that breakout target once it breaks outwards, because there might just not be enough time. There might not be enough time for it to reach that point before Bitcoin decides to relax and sell off. Okay, so of those 3 coins, Chainlink looks more sure, air quotes, sure, nothing sure, to get up to that target. Next would be Algorand, and then in third would be Virtual's protocol. Okay, because things move fast in this crypto space, and you need to understand which coin, based on which one's moving first, is more likely to actually reach those targets.
You know, one of my favorite things about the show is when Will and Alex say, I want to talk about this today. And I say, great. And then I just get to show up and learn something. I basically have just been here for color commentary all day. I do have a couple of points from the comments, though, and a question or two for you to follow up with. The first one, as always, is what software do you like to use to do this?
TradingView.
Okay.
So tradingview.com is the go-to premier gigantic monopoly, if you will, for charting. You can find charts for every and any asset in the world there. If there's a brand new altcoin, though, there'll be a little bit of a lag. You know, you'll probably, the only ones that like upload it, I say like a lot. Ugh, gross. But CoinGecko is the best place to go if you have a coin that's brand spanking new. But TradingView will get it listed in like 24 hours, 48 hours. So like, you know, it's pretty fast.
My next question comes from Cosmic Crypto. He said, what about the Russell 2000 indicator? He said it's a true indicator of risk on. Is that one that you're familiar with? It's not one that I surprise track personally.
So I don't pay attention to it too much. When it comes to stocks, I typically just look at the S&P 500. But Cosmic is absolutely correct. It is a really good chart or grouping of stocks to look at for risk on, because the Russell 2000s are, it's like if you were just looking at really small market cap cryptocurrencies as opposed to looking at the big boys. And that's the difference between the S&P 500 and the Russell 2000. You're just looking at much smaller, therefore much more risk on stocks. And I don't know what the Russell 2000's been doing. I can take a quick look though.
While you pull it up, let me shout out Moist Mike in the comments, who said Dex Screener is also good. If you're analyzing cryptocurrency tokens, they've got an interesting real-time feed of buys and sells and tend to be the first mover for super new meme tokens, which, to be frank with you, I think it's really kind of impossible to do technical analysis on because they're just a baby.
They are just a baby. I've got it up. Let me just add a little bit of nuance, a little bit more indicators here.
And also, while
The
we're
Russell
doing that,
2000's
let me
looking pretty
invite you to throw up your questions and comments. I do see them coming in. We've got a question about ZBEC, Will, because
I made a video on that.
big.
Yeah.
I was about to say, when is it? It was like 5 videos back in your profile probably now.
Yeah, it's probably like 5 days ago.
Do you
4
think
days
it's
ago.
poised for a pop off? Is it a good time to
Didn't-
buy? Am I too late?
I
to
know.
do-
Wait, people were talking about ZBEC like yesterday. It popped off. Yeah, it had a huge major pop off, which is funny because I made a video 3 days ago where I said this is definitely a good coin to trade. Maybe not invest in, but yeah, it popped off like after my video, 46%. And I did mention I think it's a good coin that's going to have momentum moving forward. It's not a coin to invest in, but it's a coin to trade. We can talk about it in a second, but I don't want to get too far away from the Russell 2000.
No, not at all. Tell us when you're ready, and I'll hit a little screen share. I know you were cleaning it up. We've also
Yep,
got some
I
questions
am
coming
ready.
about Coinbase Advanced, how to set limit orders, and of course, maybe it's time to revisit how we feel about XRP. So, what do we got here? Hang on.
Well, this is the Russell 2000. It measures, if I remember correctly, just like 2,000 smaller stocks. I forget exactly, but Cosmic is right. You can look at this as more of a measurement of the risk on environment in the traditional financial sense. So this is the daily chart here, and we see a lot of strength. We on the MOX indicator too, we saw a flip to longs for the Russell 2000 here all the way back on, when did this first trigger? May 19th, with the best buy opportunity being May 23rd. we've gotten above key exponential moving averages of the 200 exponential moving average and also the 200 simple moving average. Things look really, really, really strong for the Russell. And there's a clear level of resistance here at 2,323 from this previous chunk of price history over from the month of January, January into the beginning of February. And Russell 2000 has pretty much a clear path upwards to just about that range, 2,300, pretty much on the dot. And then it could find some resistance there. But at that point, you might be setting up a cup and handle pattern, which would be bullish. It looks like it's setting up for a bullish pattern. If it breaks $2,300, you're going to see the Russell 2000 really start to shoot up. Everything here for the Russell 2000 looks like the stock market is saying, hey, risk on, baby. Because I think the stock market's looking at rate cuts for September and October.
Beautiful. Thank you. Excuse me as I decide to cough. For people who are curious about trading day in, day out, or just making a trade more seamless, let's talk a little about how you can actually execute some of this stuff. You can do this manually, of course, by going to your cryptocurrency wallet or your brokerage app and clicking the buy button, clicking the sell button. But for folks who are crypto users and you want to automate some of this, I would suggest you start exploring limit orders. If you are setting price targets, if you're trying to automate it for yourself, then you can use a feature like Coinbase Advanced to click on the sell target, to click on the buy target, to specify how much you want to buy or sell in percent or dollars of your position so that when the target hits, it can execute. Of course, there are a lot more tools you can use to customize it, to make sure you get in quickly, to make sure your order, we say, fills completely. But if you're just getting started, I would recommend that. Will, do you have other tools that you like, either for manual execution of a trade or automating it with a limit order?
Nope.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't. But who did we have on the show? They were like an automated they're like an automated
gesturing at me with his
who do we have on the show? Where they had an automated robo crypto portfolio management solution.
Talking about DeFi Daddy. We could be talking about
no.
Lido-Fi.
Was it Lido-Fi?
Glider-Fi.
Glider-Fi. It was Glider. Yeah. It was Glider. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a couple of solutions like that automate it. Like we have not had them on the show yet, but we met folks from Reserve Finance at Consensus, and they are like a kind of like an ETF product, but make it crypto, where they've got a token you can buy that represents, like, at any given time, the top 20, tokens, or the top 20 meme tokens by market cap or whatever. Automating some of that kind of stuff for you so you can set it, forget it the way you might with like an index fund. Questions. Can you use any other exchange besides Coinbase? Yes, you could.
Of course.
Use Kraken.
You could use Kraken. If you're not in the US, you could use Binance. You could use, there's a bunch.
I wouldn't use Uphold, honestly. I don't think it's great.
If you're in the US, use Coinbase or Kraken.
Yeah, and if you have other thoughts, maybe crypto.com is where I would go next if I had to go somewhere else. If I was not in the US, the first place I would go, or if I'm in the US and I have a Palau ID and I want to do more advanced stuff, I'll tell you where I would go is KuCoin. How do you feel about
yeah,
KuCoin?
true. I've never given them much of a thought.
Dude, they are so good. Their UX is intimidating if you've never used like a trading app before, but their tools, their spreads, they're like, they've got everything. I love it. And if you want to get started with like bots and automating your strategy, I think KuCoin is the easiest place to get started with it. They have a lot of tutorials, but again, it's difficult to access in the US. Even with a VPN, they started KYCing and really cracking down on it, which, I get it. So,
Well, do you want to talk about ZBEC?
Yes. And first, on the way there, I have one more question for you, a short one.
Okay.
Do you look at charts on a particular time frame?
You should look at the chart first on the monthly time frame to understand what the overall macro trend is, because that dictates everything on shorter time frames. Then you look at the weekly, then you look at the daily. And if you go anything shorter than that, just to see like how things could shape up for the next day or two, you look at the 4-hour time frame. But you should really be, particularly if you're new, you should really be making decisions based off like the monthly and weekly chart. Set yourself up for swing trade positions and don't get too worried about, like the daily swing in the price. But, that's it. The monthly is the most important. Once you get more time in an asset, then the 3-month becomes very important. But the longer the time frame, the more important it is. And Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. Okay, tell me about ZBEC.
Actually, it'd be weird for all of our international audience. They're like, Bob's your uncle. We use so many idioms in American English.
Yeah, we really do. Sorry
crazy.
about that, friends.
Hey there, normies.
But
hey there, normies. Normies to American English. Yeah,
exactly. As ZBEC's coming up, let me answer this question that says, when are you live? The Rise Up Morning Show is live Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time to share helpful news, commentary, answer your crypto questions. We've got Rise Up After Dark Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central. That's expert guest commentary, interviews with our friends, BYOB, DYOR, let your hair down. And then Monday, we've got Rise Up Market Watch, where Will and Doug, aka Von, they'll chart anything. They'll make sense of the macro trends that shape our lives so that you can make better investing decisions. Really, this is like a preview of what that is. If you enjoy this kind of content with Will, then that's your destination. And you can check out the first episode is live on YouTube. It's live on all podcasting platforms. And there's nothing stopping you from remembering this channel, following us here, heading to the riseupmorningshow.com and finding the links to get our content on your favorite social. And we really would love to hear from you. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, let us know. We'll make more of it.
Also, Keith just said check your emails, which means the new jingle for Market Watch is probably ready. And I am excited.
Oh my gosh. I absolutely can't wait. Okay. Show me some ZBEC.
Well, I'm not going to pull up the chart for ZBEC. I'm just going to talk about it because it's up 45% after being down. I mean, I could talk about why it was really well positioned for a bounce here. I could do that from a TA standpoint. But at the end of the day, ZBEC is a coin that grabbed a ton of mind share. Really, it 1,000 or 10x'd over a very short period of time this year. And when you have a coin gain that much mind share and that much momentum, it stays at the forefront of the altcoin mind, particularly in the TikTok universe. And it's likely to be a coin to pop off again. Once it has a big dip, it's usually a safer play because once it starts to move again, everyone talks about it and everyone dives back into it. And that's why it was able to go up 45% in 3 days after I made my video talking about it, being like, hey, there's some play here. So, hey, give me a follow. This is a new account. I need all the love I can get. Now, Suits and Satoshis, guys, on TikTok. So what is ZBEC? So ZBEC doesn't do anything new. I want to preface this. It does nothing new, but it is well positioned to be the leader in this category that does solve a real world pain point. Okay, so a negative and a positive. Now let's talk about the category, what it does. Because if you're looking to invest in something, you should first ask, what does this do? Is that valuable? The answer is, okay, I know what this does. It's not valuable at all, 99.5% of the time in crypto space. So what ZBEC is it's a streaming payments solution. So an employee could get paid in real time for every millisecond of work. And the fractions of the payment are being sent to you as you work. As an employee, that has some benefits because you don't get paid every 2 weeks or once a month or every week, but particularly useful for contractors and freelance workers. Because if you have ever done that or you know somebody who has, sometimes it's really annoying to get your clients to actually pay you. Sometimes it can take a really, really, really long time. So remove that by having a payment streaming option that just pays you for the work you're doing as you're doing it. And as it's completed, the payment stops. So you get paid in real time. Now, this is useful, solves a real world pain point. However, ZBEC is not new to this. We've been doing this for a very long time in crypto. And there are a lot of competitors out there. The biggest being, was it Superfluid? And then I think it's Superfluid. Hang on a second.
Superfluid is definitely one. And there are several on Ethereum, specifically payment streaming solutions. And Will's right. As pretty much since the advent of smart contracts, this was a possibility, and there were people in one way or another doing this kind of thing, programming the movement of money.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't find my notes. So if you want to find all the competitors, go and watch my video. Just type in Suits and Satoshis or William Watson into TikTok, and then ZBEC. I'm sure you'll find it. But anyway, the biggest competitors, though, are on Ethereum and Ethereum Layer 2s. ZBEC is originally on Solana, which is already very interesting for this cycle because Solana is just a hotter ecosystem right now in terms of the amount of growth it has. It's not bigger than Ethereum, mind you, not at all yet, but its growth is larger. It has more new money flowing to it, whereas Ethereum has more old money. So that is of interest. The other thing, too, is it is the first payment streaming option that is interoperable. So it is also live on BNB, and it has plans to go to Ethereum Layer 2 solutions next. So it's the only one on, it's not the only one on Solana, but it's within Solana, which makes it interesting. And it's the only one that's interoperable, which makes it a little bit more interesting because there is another streaming payment solution on Solana. But the focus of the use case is different. So they're competitors, right? We mentioned that, but they all focus on different niches. Some of them, like the one that's currently on Solana, which is, I think, Stream Fluid. I forget what it is, but regardless, it focuses on grant programs and it focuses on airdrops and vesting schedules for cryptocurrency projects. What ZBEC focuses on is actual adoption by real businesses, which is also in line with a very hot trend that we have in crypto today for altcoins, which is around the adoption of crypto technology by businesses and institutions. Largely, that's spoken about via stablecoins, and stablecoins are super hot. But guess what? You're going to get paid in with ZBEC solutions. Like, you're going to get paid in stablecoins, right? So this is another layer on top of what's already a very hot trend in the crypto space right now for a use case that has real world pain point that it's addressing, which a lot of crypto projects don't have. Now, here's a negative, right? Those are all positives. It's why ZBEC has grabbed a lot of attention. A negative, though, is that the crypto industry is probably pretty far away from actually getting genuine adoption of payment streaming solutions. There aren't any businesses really lining up for this yet. You have businesses who are you have like financial institutions interested in DeFi. You have people interested in the traditional world in ETF products, but you don't have people interested yet in adopting that for their payment solutions. And it's probably pretty far away. It's probably a few years away, honestly. So you are investing very.
You think it's more or less than 2?
I think it's more than 2.
Dang, I would have gone. I'm thinking 2. At scale, everybody's doing it. I don't think it's 2, but I think we're going to have a major company doing it in 2 years. AI managing payroll, smart contracts.
We in crypto always think things are going to move faster than they will.
And sometimes they move faster than we think, even us.
Usually not, though. Not when it comes to like real world genuine adoption, because we don't have any real world genuine adoption except for people buying Bitcoin. Other than that, there is zero real world adoption at scale for any crypto solution.
Stablecoins are the most killer app we have, arguably.
They are, and they are not yet adopted in a major way.
No, man, they are not adopted in a major household way, but they're adopted majorly in mostly places that are not here. So we don't have a good window on it. In some countries, they are the preferred payment solution. And think about this. It would be nothing for a company like Kraken, who has the users, who has a payment solution, who has the rails to roll out now. If you're a landlord, you can collect rent on chain and we'll hold it for you and we'll stream it to you in real time. Now, if you pay employees, you can put it in a smart contract. I mean, they won't say it like that, but they'll say streaming payments now available. Here's a reward. I think they're going to do it.
In 2023, I would make
a $10 friendly bet with you that someone will do it.
A $10 friendly bet. Someone will do it. We need some measurement. Someone's gonna do it. I'm not gonna take that bet. I might as well just
start a company just for this $10.
Might as well just send you $10 on Venmo, or send you $10 of stablecoins.
We should put it in a smart contract. And
let me put this into scale for you in terms of stablecoins still have not been adopted in a major way. In 2023, the global payments industry. Now, I might be surprised here because I haven't Googled the other thing. In 2023, the global payments industry handled 3.4 trillion transactions, accounting for $1.8 trillion in revenue. Okay, 3.4 million transactions, trillion transactions, $1.8 quadrillion. Now let me type in how many. Sorry for the typing. Gonna go mute for a second.
No problem. This is a fantastic point in the conversation to say, Ruth, if you're listening, Will and I love a friendly disagreement, but we're gonna need some pie afterwards.
We're gonna need some pie in 2023, and so this is grown. But that's what I have compared to.
Okay.
In 2023,
Sure.
stable coins facilitated transactions totaling $10.8 trillion. 10.8 trillion as compared to 1.8 quadrillion. We have not in a meaningful way been adopted. It's here. It's happening. The wheels are finally turning again, but we have not done it yet.
Okay, let me ask you this. How much do you think in 2023 Visa, we must be looking at the same data set, Visa transacted or PayPal transacted?
Ooh, I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you. You said $10 trillion in stablecoin transactions. Compare that to PayPal's 1.5 trillion. Compare it to Visa's 14 trillion. So more than half, already surpassed or on par with some traditional payment networks in volume. I'm not necessarily saying that they need to, my metric is not, everyone everywhere uses them. But in addition to that, being like on par with those things, they are ubiquitous in some like global south or emerging markets, the Argentinas of the world, that kind of thing. No shade,
Yeah.
Argentina, absolutely love you. They routinely use dollar-backed stablecoins, especially for all kinds of stuff. So that's my bar. I don't know. And that's only going to grow.
Yeah, it's only going to grow. And like I said, there is adoption. This is adoption, but adoption in like a really, really meaningful way. Like really starting to take a chunk of the total pie of like what is the industry, because yes, like
I would say trillions of dollars annually is a pie chunk.
it is a very small pie chunk.
If you're measuring in quadrillions, it's a bite.
Yeah. Also, I have no idea how fucking big a quadrillion is.
Right now we're
how big is a quadrillion?
I think it's 1,000 trillion is a quadrillion.
1,000 trillion is one quadrillion. Yeah.
So it's
It's
bigger.
a lot. It's a lot.
You know.
It's an unfathomably large amount of money. But we're arguing about semantics, but we can agree that stablecoins are doing pretty damn well, and we expect their adoption to continue to increase.
Yeah, and
What were we talking about before?
We were
ZBEC?
talking about streaming payments, specifically
right, yeah.
ZBEC, when I butted in to say, wait a second, 2 years over under on streaming. So ZBEC, you were talking specifically about their competitors and which ones are advanced, which ones are not. You were talking about.
Oh, and then I was saying like you're investing into ZBEC right now at a time where I don't think there aren't companies lining up to do this yet. And you're going to have someone do it within the next 2 years, I am sure, probably even sooner than that. But just understand that, like, if you are like, I'm going to buy ZBEC and I'm going to hold it for years and years and years, you're doing that in a very, 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 very risky way, because it doesn't have adoption of its solution yet. It's purely driving off of mindshare, speculation, because it is right now the leader in a space focusing on very hot trends, and it is standing apart from its competitors because it's interoperable on Solana, BNB, moving to Ethereum. It's much more well positioned to be the thing that could one day be adopted by actual businesses. But understand, like, hey, you could have a new competitor come up that's, better, hotter, faster, sexier, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I still think that a traditional like payment facilitating service, I think Robinhood could try and corner that game. I think Kraken, anybody who's filing for a bank charter could try and encroach on that, especially if they've got users. That's meaningful. Like ZBEC doesn't have users. It doesn't have mindshare. It's not Coinbase. It's not Kraken. It's an altcoin that people are speculating on that's wildly volatile. So got to prove some pudding. We had a couple questions, Will, and maybe we can do some rapid fire ones. You want to whip up a chart and tell us what you think about XCN token? We have a friend, John, on Twitter who said, thoughts on XCN? I fell for the hype a few months ago and sugar, we're going down swinging. So appreciate the reference. The XCN token, for people who don't know, is Onyx. It's a layer 3 EVM compatible blockchain built on top of Ethereum. It's a finance grade blockchain for payments, for securities, that kind of stuff. And right, it's not doing too hot. It evolved from a project that was, founded a long time ago in like 20 something, and it got acquired by Stellar, and then they kind of spun it back out as an independent project. So they've been around for a minute, but what's it looking like? I don't really know what they do, except that they're an institutional grade finance blockchain.
Well, if we look at price right now, ignore the lines I just drew. In fact, ignore all the indicators too. It is sitting above the 200 simple moving average, which is solid. That's a very strong line of support. That's sitting at 1.3 cents. However, it is below the 200-day exponential moving average, which is currently sitting at 1.5 cents. So it doesn't have, it's not really showing a ton of strength yet, but it is showing a higher low. So that's something there. It's in a very kind of like wishy-washy kind of position. From the lows that we have here, I don't see like a gigantic bullish wick showing that bulls really came in and grabbed price and moved it upwards. We have a little bit of one here at 1.2 cents. And if we look at the lines that I drew here, hang on a second, I'm going to get rid of this one. Let me delete this one. The top line of resistance that you're looking at here is, if we were to go straight upwards, is at 1.5 cents to, yeah, it's pretty much 1.5 cents. If you can get above that, you can start to have a potential rally here. And let me see. If I were to do this, okay. So here's the thing. You will have either happy fun times or very sad times for XCN. You'll have sad times if you break 1.35 cents. But if you can work your way up to that 1.5 cent range, hold that as support, get above the 200-day exponential moving average, you could be looking at a very, very, very big swing to the upside out of this consolidation triangle. Now, if I pull up my indicators, hey, things look a little bit better. Because what I'm looking at, what I see immediately, is while we're finding support on the 200 simple moving average, again, a very important line of support, we are also oversold on the daily stochastic RSI. The stochastic RSI is not a good top indicator, but it's an incredibly good bottom indicator. And when it's oversold and it's finding support on a key exponential moving average, or in this case, simple moving average, typically that's a good time to be dollar cost averaging into it. So this is showing a possibility to me that this is a potential bottom and there's a chance to start moving upwards. But again, if you weren't here earlier, we talked about how there are a bunch of coins in similar setups. There are a bunch of coins that are setting up within these wedges, and some have started to break out, like Link. Some are about to break out, like Algorand, and other ones are still trying to set up, like Virtual's protocol, and XCN is in the same kind of position as Virtual's protocol. It's in a little bit of a weaker one because it's below the 200-day EMA too. So remember, the coins that are leading that, like Chainlink right now, has already started that breakout. They're more likely to be able to reach their breakout price targets as compared to an XCN right now or a Virtual's protocol, because they're still trying to get that breakout. And they won't if Bitcoin all of a sudden decides to, hey, it's time to start selling off. So the coins that are moving faster are more likely to hit their price breakout targets, which if this were to break, it would actually be a really, really, really big one of several hundred percentage points, I think. 129% move. But it's not moving as quickly as the others, so there's more of a chance of it to not reach that. You just lost a follower? Damn. And so that's that.
Oh,
I don't know
the turns table.
how quickly the turn's stable, but that's XCN from a pure technical analysis standpoint. I know nothing about the project.
Well, let me answer a quick question that came up about it. Because somebody said, wait a second, what's a layer 3? And I just want to clarify this for you, because this is definitely an unhelpful, like jargony thing. Layer 1 is a term that we use to apply to any blockchain network. By definition, it has its own token that is called a coin that is used to pay for gas or settle fees on the network. For example, the Bitcoin network has a coin called Bitcoin. It is a layer 1 blockchain. And this language really came into existence with the advent of Ethereum. Ethereum emerged, and unlike Bitcoin, which was really just meant to be this like peer-to-peer transfer, eventually became a store of value, Ethereum was like, well, what if we could do what cryptography did for money on Bitcoin with any kind of information? And we made it possible for people to like build apps on top of it and stuff so that they didn't have to rely on all these companies and governments and intermediaries to access services online. What if we could build a new internet? That's where this movement really started, was with the advent of Ethereum and the possibility not just to have a new blockchain network, different layer 1s, but to build other smaller chains on top of it. Kind of like, your city is like a layer 1 network. People pay taxes collectively to the same government there. They might share a zip code. They might share postal codes, but they also have other pieces of infrastructure that they share. Those are like the layer 2s. A layer 2 is like a skyscraper built in a city, or the road system that's built in your city, or the plumbing in your city. Things that make life in the city faster, cheaper, more efficient. These layer 2 networks sit on top of and therefore settle information and transactions on the base ledger, Ethereum network's ledger. But they do a lot of transacting kind of in the clouds above it. The same way that if you have a building, a sewer system, whatever, people use it, but then they might pay for it at the end of the month. A layer 3 is like a business inside a skyscraper in a city. It is a purpose-built blockchain network that is often closed. It's private or permissioned. Maybe a company has built one that is on top of a layer 2. For example, I would call Robinhood's new chain on top of Arbitrum. They call it a layer 2. I think many people will call it a layer 3. It's built on top of Arbitrum, which is itself a layer 2 on top of Ethereum, to facilitate Robinhood's private personal business. You'll be able to use it, but it'll probably come with some terms and conditions. So that's like a layer 3, app specific, purpose specific. Layer 2 is like a bigger piece of infrastructure, still specific, specialized. And a layer 1 is like the place it lives, the city, the skyscraper, the business inside that building. Hope that helps. And we had another quick question too, but I've lost it.
I can do one quick one, and then I gotta start heading out.
Will's gonna start packing his dogs and ponies. Okay, then let that be your chance, folks, to get your last questions, suggestions, good jokes, words of wisdom for Will Watson. And I'll stay just another second to wrap up our Q&A. What you got?
Hang on. Let me. Sorry, I was unprepared because I was like,
okay.
dang, what is my final thought?
We are live on every platform that you like to watch content on. You can find all the links through the profile you are listening on at theriseupmorningshow.com. Remember that, and you can find us anywhere. And if you're watching on TikTok or you're listening in podcast land, the screen share on YouTube, the screen share on X, on Facebook, on LinkedIn is chef's kiss. Really good. So check that out. You can get the links there at our website.
And what I was going to say is presenting my screen one more time.
Okay.
We, again, have the Rise Up Morning Show collective Instagram account.
Oh,
now,
snap, baby.
Which now that Evan is starting to post here as well, the videos together look really manic.
I was going to say, we're going to have to work on our face card.
We're going to have to work on it. Yeah. It's just, I love this one. This one is so good.
And honestly, I have no idea. Usually I don't do motion at the start of videos, but I did that and I was like, oh my God.
So when you post on Instagram, by the way, you can like take a screenshot or whatever of like your video and have that, but it's an extra step. But anyway, you guys.
Though. Look at this. This is like this Pinterest and then nailed it.
But you can find us at the Rise Up Morning Show on Instagram. You can also type in Rise Up Media. You'll find us. Alex is going to be posting there soon. He's busy buying a house and stuff and doing other things and moving and the yada, yada, yada. It doesn't take much time to upload something here to Instagram. Come on, Alex. We need you. We need you here. The Instagram people want you. But you'll be able to find my videos there. You'll be able to find Evan. You'll be able to find Alex's. And if, in fact, we do one day have a US-only TikTok, you'll be able to still find our most impactful and important videos here on Instagram. And that's all that I have to say. So give us a follow.
Well, we have a question. Are you wearing pants?
I am wearing pants, but they are shorts.
The way your microphone was placed, we really couldn't see the fabric of your shorts. We just saw leg and then
Just saw a
microphone.
leg, leg and microphone. Perfect. That's excellent. Maybe
It
I'm not
looked
even
like
wearing
the kind of
shorts.
censorship they used to use in like kids' television shows when they couldn't show
Yeah,
their
yeah,
videos, like just standing naked behind a counter or
Yeah.
something.
Well, it gets hot in this room, so it's just like I'm not gonna put on my suit pants for this.
Yeah, we saw leg. So thank you for that.
I saw leg. All right,
And thank you for joining us. It was a great show today, man. You
yeah,
killed it.
dude, it was fun. Oh yeah, no, we don't get to hang out again till Monday.
That's okay. Let's go
Been a
have a great
fast week.
weekend, and
I gotta
we'll.
go though.
I'm gonna wrap up just a couple of quick Q&As we got, and I'll see you in the chat. Okay, man.
Okay, see you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, monsters and machines, we are getting into that point, though, where we round out the show. I just want to be a good steward of your time and attention because there were some really good questions in the comments that we didn't get to yet. And we love you for asking them. So first, I want to talk to our friend Bearded, who's watching on YouTube, where you can be watching too, who asks some good questions about Coinbase and generally about custodial exchanges, okay? These are any crypto companies where you get a username and password and they provide the service of holding assets for you. If you didn't know, the real cool thing about crypto is that it is the advent, the innovation, the possibility for the first time truly in human history to truly own a digital thing because you are the sole custodian of it. We've abstracted away this idea of ownership to being able to remember a private key, a string of numbers and letters. If you can present that string of numbers and letters to the computers that maintain the blockchain, then you can own and benefit from the privileges and rights of ownership for any assets that are assigned to that key. And those assets, they can be programmed to represent anything. Just like your dollar bill can represent, it's made up. Your driver's license can represent your identity. It's made up. So too can information on a blockchain, if we agree it does, represent things like money or your identity or a story, so on and so forth. But the cool thing about it is that private key. It's all you need. Those things don't physically exist, but they are symbolic of ownership of things that really matter. When Coinbase came along, they said, you know what? It'd be great if people could buy and sell Bitcoin, but buying and selling Bitcoin is really hard. So we are going to provide a service where we get all these compliances, we get a big pot of money, and we provide a secure, stable way for everyday people who don't want to deal with this cryptography stuff, this private key management, where if they lose that information, they lose the right to ever access or recover their cryptocurrency. Because I mean, honestly, who wants to deal with that? Am I right? We're going to give you a username and password. We'll do all the crypto stuff on the back end, and you'll get to use it. You're used to doing that with stocks anyway. You don't really own the thing. You just get the rights to it. Good service, they pay a fee for it. You know, that kind of thing. Now, Bearded's question was, when you're using Coinbase or something like that, if you're holding an asset that might entitle you to an airdrop, his example was Katana, would Coinbase get that? Would Kraken get that? First of all, let me clarify. Most airdrops don't go to people who just hold a thing. Most legitimate airdrops, if it's a new word to you, when crypto companies are giving out their token, they call this an airdrop. And usually the goal is they give it to people who have used their products, their services. If they're a software company, if they're a blockchain and they have like a test network, people who've used their stuff are often the people that they distribute these tokens to. Maybe people who've paid money, invested on a platform, provided liquidity, meaning allocated some of their funds to this protocol. Often they're looking for some kind of on-chain action, meaning you have to interact with a blockchain somewhere, somehow, to get on their radar. And the thing about Coinbase and Kraken and other centralized exchanges is when you buy assets on their platform or custody assets with them, you send assets to Coinbase, they have rules about what they're allowed to do with your stuff. They are not in the background taking your Polygon tokens and like staking them or taking your Bitcoin and doing DeFi stuff with it. They have very strict rules that they have to follow. And part of those rules are they are not allowed to go do the kinds of things with your money that would allow that money to earn an airdrop. FTX got in trouble for that. If you've heard about the FTX collapse in 2022, a big part of the scandal that unraveled around their story was that they were misusing and misrepresenting how they were using customer funds. Their agreement said one thing, so they could comply with the law and get away with a lot of stuff on the back end that they weren't going to tell you about because people weren't looking on chain, or they were obscuring it. The other thing is Coinbase, Kraken, like they're participating. They are doing stuff, but mostly they're doing stuff that is not like an airdrop. Mostly what they're doing is saying like, hey, let's use our revenue to buy treasury bonds, or hey, let's get everyone's Bitcoin and offer a new product called CBBTC that we can back one-to-one with Bitcoin to give people new reasons to use our platform. Like plays that are not open to investors the way Let Me Chase an Airdrop is open to an investor. But plays that are very, very valuable because, you know, if you have 1 million trillion customers and $1 million trillion, you can shake a lot of hands to open a lot of doors for yourself. You see what I mean? So Bearded, don't be worried that they're misusing your assets or holding back an airdrop from you. If you want to participate in airdrops, in decentralized finance and other kinds of decentralized applications of cryptocurrency where you are participating directly with protocols, with people, because you are owning your private key, what you need is a wallet. You need a wallet, which is a device or an application that generates and securely stores a private key for you. So you can be the own custodian of your crypto. So you alone can have that private key that you can present to blockchain networks in order to do all these things that we've made possible with the assets you own, like take them to a DeFi platform and allocate them to lend to others and earn a yield on it. The only real thing you can do on Coinbase is staking. You can, they have it set up, tell them you want to stake your assets. They've got validators that you can do that with. That's about the only DeFi thing. You can stake and you can swap tokens on a centralized exchange, but pretty much anything else that would qualify you for an airdrop, like using a bridge or using a decentralized exchange or lending, borrowing, stuff like that, minting NFTs. You got to do that kind of stuff on decentralized exchanges. You got to do that kind of stuff with your own cryptocurrency wallet, different from an exchange. And I just want you to know this is a lot of information, but boy, if you're trying to learn this stuff, trying to learn about cryptocurrency and how to use it safely, confidently, have we got you covered. I have got right at your fingertips a playlist called Learn to Use Crypto. If you don't follow me on TikTok, if you listen to me somewhere else, then check me out on TikTok. It's at Conversations with Evan, Conversations with an S. I have a lot of impersonators, so you got to type it in right. At the very top of my profile, right underneath my profile picture, is a playlist. It's a little clickable button that says Learn to Use Crypto. It's 12 videos. That's it. I'll add more over time. But it is the information in order that a person might need to go from I'm curious, skeptical, or concerned, never touched cryptocurrency, I might like to buy it, I might like to use it, to I am a safe, confident crypto user. I know exactly what to do and how to do it, or at least to become a level 1 user, somebody who can confidently buy, sell, send, receive, store their crypto securely, turn it back into cash, which in my opinion are all things that you should know how to do before you buy anything. And let me be clear. Airdrop to the most time spent watching your videos. What a great application of cryptocurrency technology. Yes, we'd need tokens for that on TikTok first. TikTok is a custodial platform. They don't give us tokens, you know. But let me be clear. You can learn this stuff. It's new, it's novel, but you can absolutely do it. And anything you choose to buy, if you're, you know, hearing about XRP and maybe you want to buy some, how much do I need to get before it becomes life-changing money? Any amount of XRP, any amount of Bitcoin, any amount of cryptocurrency is a liability unless you understand how to use it, how to secure it, how to turn it back into cash if you're an investor. Those are the skills you need to focus on first. You're going to use them every day, time and time again, no matter what you do with cryptocurrency. And the thing I want to tell you that we try to emphasize, you hear me say it a lot, is crypto, the technology that makes this stuff possible, will be so much more than currency. The way that your phone does so much more than calls, and most of it will have nothing to do with money. Money is the most notorious use case for it right now. And if that's all cryptocurrency did, it would still be groundbreaking, game-changing, revolutionary. But it's going to be a lot more than that. Shout out to CryptoBoat, who says, I tell my wife that you guys have restored my faith in humanity. You're great guys, man. And thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very kind. I want to address this question too. Are cold wallets safe? I heard a guy saying to never use them. There's a really common scam right now. And to all my friends who are creators in the comments, would love for us to really bring this conversation to people if you're not already. This is important. I know you've seen this. A comment, a video with a creator that you trust. Coach JV is one I see a lot who gets these videos made of him, where somebody will download one of his videos. If somebody took one of my videos and then posted it again, but put text over the top. So you can't tell that it's not from me if you're just watching the video. It's got my face, got my voice. I'm telling you about why crypto matters, and you see your cold wallet isn't safe. Use the link in my profile to back up your wallet. This is the scam that's happening right now, and it's proliferating probably because it's working. In a comment or in a DM, some stranger or someone who looks like a creator you follow will say, hey, did you know that Ledger isn't safe, or Tangent isn't safe, or you need to upgrade to a quantum ledger, you need to upgrade to the trust ledger, you need to upgrade to whatever. You need to back up your wallet. You need to something that appeals to fear, urgency, and invites you to check their link, check their profile, DM them, Telegram them. They're trying to isolate you, make you fearful, and then pretend to be helpful to get you to reveal that piece of information, your private key. Or what some crypto wallets have, if you're a new user, is something called a seed phrase. Your private key, it's a string of numbers and letters that, like a password, every machine that runs the code that is the blockchain recognizes as like your distinct identity, so that it can make sense of which assets are assigned to you that you're allowed to use and prevent things like stealing or double spending. If you don't want to remember your private key, no problem. A lot of wallets have made it easier to access your private key with a mnemonic device. We call it a seed phrase. Sometimes it's called a secret phrase. It's like 12 or 24 words. When you sign up for your first crypto wallet, it's going to say, hey, here's some words that will back up your wallet. Write these down. Don't share them with anybody. It'll be like pants, banana, dolphin, William, whatever. You write them down. They represent your private key and can be presented to a wallet software to restore a wallet in the event that, your Ledger wallet gets run over by a truck, or you forget the private key, or the software, has a bug, it goes down, whatever. You got to restore your wallet. It's easier to remember. It's secure. It's encrypted. The crypto and cryptocurrency stands for cryptography. So this stuff is all over the place. But they want you, these scammers, to back up your wallet into their secure wallet by inputting your secret words. And I'll tell you, the DM I get a lot is, Evan, have I been scammed? Evan, I went to this website. All I did was back up my seed phrase. My brother, my sister, your seed phrase is everything. The second you give that to another person, or the second you give the information it represents, your private key, to another person, they have the same control over your crypto you do. It might as well be that they're the owner. That's the key. The key is, for all intents and purposes, your crypto. You might hear people say, not your keys, not your crypto. And that's what they mean. Because your cryptocurrency, it doesn't physically exist. You can't put it in your pocket. You can't send it or receive it. The only place it lives is a piece of data, an entry in a ledger like your checkbook, but which is digital and which is maintained by many different computers all at once, so they can keep each other honest if somebody decides to, cheat. And when you send them, when you receive them, it's just reassigning them. It's checking. If Evan wants to send a Bitcoin, does he have one Bitcoin at this private key? They're not checking my name. They're checking private key 0123456, right? I verify it to them. I say, hey, I want to send a Bitcoin. They look at it. They say, oh, you got a Bitcoin? Who do you want to send it to? This private key? You don't send it. It doesn't move. They just scratch it out on my balance and they write it in on Cosmic's balance or William's balance or whatever. That is how cryptocurrency moves. It is all about private keys. And if you reveal your private key or your seed phrase to a scammer, they can move your crypto. And in most cases, that crypto is gone forever. It's unrecoverable. So that's the first scam we got to watch out for. Your cold storage wallet is safe. It is a device designed to securely store your private key offline. The only way it becomes unsafe as if, somebody compromises the company's security, which is possible, but most of these, they're pretty legit. Or if you personally expose the private key. So we got to do a better job telling a better story to people who are encountering this comment, because it is prevalent right now. It is rampant right now. And it is especially targeting people in the XRP community. I just got to say, somebody asked earlier, what do you think about XRP? And I don't hold XRP at this time. I have traded it in my life. The XRP community is done dirtier than almost any group of people who buy any asset online anywhere. You're a bunch of salt of the earth, everyday people for the most part. I love that XRP has done a really good job of onboarding like moms and dads, business owners, teachers, people who are young, people who are old, people who are very technical, and people who are not. I think it's a very diverse community and a really good example of the kind of stories crypto can tell to bring us all together. What I really hate is, because a lot of XRP holders are making their first cryptocurrency purchase XRP, they tend to be new. And because of the kind of information out there around XRP, frankly, the information, most of it online, the content about XRP, about Ripple, is not helpful. It's not oriented toward helping you understand what a blockchain is, why it might work, why it might matter to you personally. And we have a literacy problem in crypto. It's not oriented towards helping you become more crypto literate. It's usually oriented around the kinds of things that might happen financially for you in the future if XRP price goes up, and why XRP price will go up. I don't think that kind of content is helpful. I don't think anybody means bad by it. I think most people who post content like that are trying to be helpful. But because they spend time posting content like that, they make their audiences greedy, they make them fearful, and they make them susceptible to bad guys who know more about blockchain than you do, who want to take your money. And that's why there are so many impersonators of Coach JV who talks about it that way, who will take his face, put it on a video, and then put captions over it. Because you as an audience, as a community, are primed to believe him or the other people that you trust who have made an identity around this token. And as a group, I will say, though crypto literacy is low everywhere, that it is particularly bad in those places of the internet. Not because anybody there is stupid, not at all. Very smart people there. But because nobody has done you the service of helping you onboard to those skills. How to use crypto well. What makes it secure? What is a private key? Why would a blockchain be a good solution for this or that? It's not just about number go up, So Stacy says, when I bought XRP on Coinbase, I don't remember getting a private key. Now, what do I do? Let's go back a bit. Remember I said a minute ago that Coinbase is a custodian. A custodian is a company that holds a private key on your behalf. They give you a username and password. What you get when you buy crypto on Coinbase or on Robinhood or on Kraken or on Uphold or Revolut is a lot like what you get when you buy a stock. You get privileges to the stock, but then the market closes. Charles Schwab holds it for you. You got to call them. You got to go to their website. You got to move it on their terms and conditions. You got to pay their fees. If they don't like what you're doing, they're going to say, whoa, here's a hold. We'll call you in 5 days. Check us on customer support. That's what Coinbase is. They don't give you a private key. They hold your crypto. They give you privileges to it, rights to it. But if something happens to Coinbase, your crypto's gone. Now, Coinbase is secure. But because cryptocurrency makes it possible to have a private key to which assets are assigned, it makes it possible to truly own digital information by yourself for the first time in the history of the internet. Okay? That is the innovation of crypto. It makes it possible for information that represents money, but also the other kinds of information that cryptocurrency can represent. When you custody your assets with Coinbase, if you're somebody who just wants to buy Bitcoin and have it in a trusted place, that's probably fine. But because you can control your money directly, it's worth learning. We call that self-custody, when you get your own private key by creating one with a wallet. If you're just starting cryptocurrency, I really do recommend you check out the Learn to Use Crypto playlist, because it's going to walk you through how to create an account on an exchange, how to buy your first cryptocurrency token. You'll buy a stable coin, which has as much volatility as $1. You're going to create a wallet, send your cryptocurrency tokens from your exchange account to your wallet. You're going to learn how to swap it for other kinds of cryptocurrencies. You're going to learn how to do other kinds of things with it that your private key makes possible, that you don't need anyone's permission for. And then you're going to learn how to send it back to an exchange and turn those cryptocurrency tokens you bought back into dollars in your bank account that you can spend or do whatever you want with. You're going to learn along the way a lot of jargon terms. You're going to get a couple of extra resources, like I made a whole glossary for you. You're going to encounter the friends at the Rise Up Morning Show, the links to our learning community where the show lives 24/7, 365. And it's going to set you up with a lot of other questions too. So what you do, go watch the Learn to Use Crypto playlist, and then join the community. Come back to the show, watch the content, hang out with the people in the chat, and jump in the Rise Up Discord server. It's the place the show lives 24/7. And that is how you do this stuff. I am not, I want to be clear, a technical guy. I'm kind of a Luddite. I'm not a rich guy. I learned this stuff because I was fortunate to find people on the internet who had a little more experience with it than I did and who were willing to share what they knew. I was in the kind of community where I could ask questions, where I could share what I was learning, and we could, we say, learn, grow, and rise up together. That's what the show is named for. So the secret to learning anything on the internet is to find a community of people. We think ours is awesome, but there are many, many communities here that the only thing missing is you. So one more time, if you want to find the Learn to Use Crypto playlist I keep talking about, head over to my TikTok, tiktok.com/conversationswithevan. If you're watching the live stream on TikTok right now, all you got to do is tap my profile at the top of the screen. And when you get there, below my circular profile picture, above the timeline of videos, there is a button that says Learn to Use Crypto playlist. And if you can't find it, you would still be doing yourself a favor to go to my profile, or go to Alex's profile, or go to Will's profile, or a lot of the profiles in our comments here on TikTok, on YouTube, on X, and just spend some time intentionally watching videos, 5 minutes a day. Learn to Use Crypto is a playlist that is structured to make the most bang for your buck. You won't be, shooting around for what do I look at? What do I watch? You'll be in the right place to learn. But if you can't remember that, the other thing to remember is the riseupmorningshow.com. You can find all of our social links there, including the link to listen to every episode of the Rise Up Morning Show After Dark or Market Watch as a podcast, as a YouTube live stream. And that's where the link to our free Discord community lives. We've even got premium memberships. You don't have to spend a dime to learn with us, but if you want to accelerate your learning journey and spend some time one-on-one with me or Alex or Will, that's the way to do it. For $15 a month, you can get into a couple of exclusive chats with the most dedicated members of our community. You can get access to free weekly office hours where we do basically group coaching Q&A. You get discounts on everything. You get a ton of free PDF guides that we've written, including Alex's cool how to train your AI research assistant. Super helpful. How to take profit even when you're down. Lots of just stuff and more all the time. We are actively building a new home for our community where we will launch a cohort style learning initiative where instead of buying one-off classes or asking one-off questions or coming to the show when you have time, you can enroll in a cohort where we will pair you up with a buddy who's new and pair you up with a buddy who's old, not necessarily in age, but who's been here for a minute, and put you in a bigger group of people who are going through the same curriculum together. That'll take you from 0 to 60, totally confident level 1 crypto user. You're going to learn from us, from our expert guests and friends like Dr. Adam Lowe over at Arculus, the co-founder of that great cold wallet company. You'll learn from our friends at Coinbase. You'll learn from our friends at Tether. You'll learn from our friends at Uniswap. Whether you're somebody who just wants to invest a little bit, somebody who wants to trade, somebody who wants to be a content creator, somebody who wants to be a future founder, get funding from an ecosystem. Tori says, I can't wait for the cohort. Me either. The cohorts are going to be so cool, Tori. And Tori already knows. She's part of a circle community now. She's been part of our community for a long time. She's one of those people that if you need a buddy, could you get a better buddy than Tori? I don't think so.
Correct.
And there are lots of people just like that, just like you. The only thing missing, my friend, is you. I'm going to answer one last question. And then we'll go. Why have crypto? Lulu, this is a great question. Leave your answers in the comments if you're listening with me live, and let me know what you think. You should have crypto if you are interested in truly owning the information that represents your money. For example, you might have experienced frustration when you went to the bank to withdraw a large sum. Maybe you're a business owner and they put a hold on your account. Or maybe you had to send money to somebody who lives in another country through Western Union, and you got to the terminal and there was a long line, or they were closed that day, or you had to pay a 12% fee on top of your money. And that really sucked. You sent $1,000 and you had to pay another $100. It took 4 days, and the person who received it on the other end had their middle initial listed on their ID, and you forgot to write that in the to field of the Western Union MoneyGram, so they didn't get the payment. Or maybe you pay your employees in cash because you're a business owner and you live in a neighborhood where you don't like to carry cash, but you got to carry $1,000 every day to the job site. And one day, somebody who watches you, who knows this, holds a knife to you and says, "Give it to me." This has happened. There are many reasons why you might prefer to use a digital, global, cheap, fast, instant information network to send information that represents money without anyone's permission where you want it to go. Instead of having to verify my name, present my government ID, I just show up as 0x123456789. I can send the money instantly. My bank doesn't take a cut. Western Union doesn't take a cut. And if you have an internet connection, it doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you can get an account on the blockchain. Totally free. There are so many, you could create millions of them. You could create a private key every second of every day. Every person on earth could do this for 1 billion years, and we still wouldn't run out of possible private keys. The cryptography that makes cryptocurrency possible helps make it secure more than cash. The blockchain network, volunteer computers that help us to run this protocol, is growing all the time. And they can all talk to each other. So you don't have to rely on one company, one powerful person, one intermediary like a bank to maintain the infrastructure that makes moving money, for example, possible. But you could apply this with a social media network like TikTok, who controls and owns the algorithm. And that's causing all kinds of problems for all kinds of people. They sell your data. The government doesn't like them. But what if instead a bunch of people volunteered their computers to doing the work to run the algorithm? And we could compensate them for it with a fee that wasn't a profit fee, so that the CEO could fly his private jet around the world, but just made everyday people a little better off for providing a service to their fellow people. What if all those computers could talk to each other and verify information so that it would be impossible to forge, to fake, to steal information that was digital? All of these are inherent properties of blockchain networks. Blockchain is the technology that makes cryptocurrency possible. Blockchain, cryptography, etc. If this is something that is still difficult to wrap your head around, all I will tell you, my friends, is don't fret, don't sweat. It's novel, it's new, and you are in the right place to learn. So if you have questions, you got suggestions, you got good jokes, you got words of wisdom, leave them in the comments or save them for another time, because we have got to go. We've got to ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset and have another weekend. I hope that wherever you are, whenever you listen, first of all, your candles are green, but that you have a good weekend, that you check out the resources at theriseupmorningshow.com, and then come back Monday, whether you want to learn about gas fees, you want to learn about staking, you want to learn about how to earn a passive yield on your crypto, or maybe you have a solution for a company that you think blockchain can help with. All of those things and so much more, my friends, are possible, and we can't wait to walk that journey with you. Okay? Everybody, thank you for being the very best part of what we do. My friends, stay safe, be well, and until next time.